A man boards a plane, sits in his assigned seat, and within minutes, he's called a racial slur, physically attacked, and surrounded by security threatening to arrest him. But here's the twist. This wasn't just any passenger. And when they finally saw his ID, the entire plane went silent. This story went viral, with over 200,000 people watching live. And what happened next changed everything. You know that feeling when you finally board a plane after a long day? When you just want to sink into your seat, close your eyes, and forget about the world for a few hours? That's exactly how Ethan Brooks felt as he stepped onto that aircraft. He wasn't dressed fancy. No expensive suit, no designer watch flashing on his wrist. Just a simple hoodie, comfortable jeans, and well-worn sneakers. The kind of outfit you'd wear when you've got a long flight ahead and comfort matters more than style. He looked like any other tired traveler trying to get from point A to point B. Ethan made his way down the aisle, checked his boarding pass one more time, and smiled slightly. Seat 1A, first class. He'd paid for it fair and square, and after the week he'd had, he deserved this small luxury. He settled into the spacious seat, let out a long breath, and ordered a coffee from the passing flight attendant. Finally, he thought, some peace. But peace wasn't what he was about to get. The sound came first. Click, click, click. Heels on the aircraft floor, moving fast, moving with purpose. Ethan glanced up from his phone just as a woman appeared in front of him. Her name was Rebecca Collins, though he didn't know that yet. What he did know, instantly, was that she was angry. Very angry. "Excuse me," she said, her voice sharp as broken glass. "You're in my seat." Ethan looked up at her, confused. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I think there's been a mistake. This is seat 1A. That's what my boarding pass says." He started reaching for his ticket to show her, ready to clear up what he assumed was a simple misunderstanding. Airlines made mistakes sometimes. Maybe she'd been given the wrong seat number. It happened. But before his hand even reached his pocket, Rebecca exploded. "Get your black ass out of my seat," she screamed, loud enough for half the plane to hear. And then she did something unthinkable. She grabbed his arm and yanked hard, trying to physically pull him out of the seat. The coffee cup flew from the armrest. Hot liquid splashed across the floor. Passengers nearby gasped, their conversation stopping mid-sentence. Some turned away, uncomfortable. Others pulled out their phones. And one teenager, sitting 3 rows back, did something that would change everything. He opened TikTok and hit the live button. Within seconds, dozens of people were watching, then hundreds. Ethan sat there, stunned. His arm still stung where he'd grabbed him. His coffee was spreading across the carpet, and this woman was standing over him like he was trash she needed to dispose of. But Ethan didn't yell back. He didn't curse. He didn't even raise his voice. He'd been here before, not on a plane maybe, but in rooms where people looked at him and saw his skin before they saw his credentials. In meetings where his ideas were questioned more harshly than others. In stores where security followed him down aisles while letting others browse freely. This wasn't new. It was just exhausting. "Ma'am," he said calmly, pulling out his boarding pass with steady hands. "Look, seat 1A, right here on my ticket." But Rebecca didn't even glance at it. "I don't care what your fake ticket says. My Delta app clearly shows that 1A is mine." The commotion had attracted attention. A flight attendant came rushing down the aisle, her uniform crisp and professional. Her name tag read Jessica Miller. Finally, Ethan thought, someone who can sort this out and we can all move on. But Jessica didn't ask to see his boarding pass. She didn't ask what happened. She looked at Ethan, then at Rebecca, and made a decision in about 2 seconds flat. "Sir, you need to move to economy class. You're holding up the boarding process." Ethan blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "You heard me. Please gather your belongings and move to the back of the aircraft." But he held up his boarding pass again. "This is my seat. It says right here." But Jessica cut him off. "Sir, I'm not going to argue with you. If you don't move voluntarily,
We will have to call security." Rebecca folded her arms across her chest, a smug smile spreading across her face. "See?" she said triumphantly. "Even the staff knows this seat is mine. Now get out before you embarrass yourself further." The teenager's live stream was exploding. The viewer count climbed past 1,000. Comments poured in faster than anyone could read them. "What is happening? Did she just say what I think she said? Check the man's ticket. This is racism in real time, OMG." Ethan felt something heavy settle in his chest. It wasn't panic. It wasn't even anger. It was deeper than that. It was the weight of being seen as guilty before anyone even asked questions. The weight of being treated like a problem to be removed rather than a person to be heard. "Please," he said quietly, holding that boarding pass higher, but Jessica had already made up her mind. She pressed a button on the wall and spoke into a radio. "David, I need backup in first class. We have an uncooperative passenger." Within a minute, 3 more crew members arrived. David Simmons, the purser, looking official and annoyed, Rachel Cooper and Mike Reynolds, 2 more flight attendants flanking him like backup. They all surrounded Ethan's seat, all of them looking down at him with the same expression: suspicion. Not one of them asked to see his ticket properly. Not one of them asked what actually happened. David crossed his arms. "Sir, we've been informed you're refusing to move. I'm going to give you one more chance. Either you move to your assigned seat in economy, or we will call airport security and have you removed from this aircraft. Do you understand?" The live stream hit 5,000, 10,000. People around the world were watching this unfold in real time, their fingers flying across keyboards, sharing the link, tagging friends, demanding answers. Ethan looked at each crew member slowly. Jessica, who'd dismissed him without a second thought. David, who'd threatened him without asking a single question. Rachel and Mike, who stood there like he was a criminal. And Rebecca, still standing nearby with that satisfied smile. He could feel eyes on him from every corner of the plane. Some passengers looked sympathetic but said nothing. Others whispered to each other, making assumptions. A few recorded on their phones, adding to the growing digital audience. Ethan took a slow, deep breath. His hands still holding that boarding pass didn't shake. His voice, when he spoke, was measured and calm. "I understand perfectly," he said. "Call security."
David's eyebrows shot up. He clearly hadn't expected that response. People who were in the wrong usually panicked, got angry, made a scene. But Ethan just sat there, waiting. "Fine," David muttered, pulling out his radio. "Security to Gate 12, first-class cabin. We need passenger removal." The wait felt eternal. The entire plane had gone quiet, except for the whispers and the clicking of phones recording. Rebecca stood there like she'd won a victory. Jessica and the other crew members waited, their body language screaming that they just wanted this handled so they could get on with the flight. And Ethan sat in seat 1A, the seat he'd paid for, the seat he had every right to be in, and waited for what came next. 2 airport security officers appeared at the aircraft door. One was a black man with kind eyes and a military bearing. His badge read Officer Daniels. The other was an Asian woman with sharp, observant features, Officer Lee. The crew immediately surrounded them, all talking at once. "He's refusing to move. We've asked him multiple times. He's being completely uncooperative. He's holding up the entire flight." Officer Lee raised her hand, silencing them. Then she walked calmly over to Ethan's seat. Her partner followed. "Sir," she said, her voice professional but not unkind, "can I see your ticket, please?" Finally, someone was actually asking. Ethan handed over his boarding pass. Officer Lee took it, studied it carefully, then looked at the seat number above Ethan's head, then back at the ticket, then at the seat number again. Her jaw tightened slightly. "Seat 1A, she read aloud, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear.
This man's ticket clearly says Seat 1A. Jessica stepped forward quickly. That can't be right. The system... The ticket says 1A, Officer Lee repeated, her tone firmer now. Rebecca pushed her way forward, her phone held high. That's fake. Look at my Delta app. It clearly shows that Seat 1A is assigned to me. He probably bought some fake ticket online. Officer Daniels turned to Ethan. Sir, do you have any identification? I do, Ethan said quietly. May I see it? Ethan nodded. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and unlocked it with his thumbprint. The screen glowed in the dimmed cabin light. He opened an app. Not his photo gallery, not his wallet app, but something else. Something that made Officer Daniels' eyes go wide. Something that made Officer Lee take a small step back. Something that made every single person crowded around Seat 1A freeze in place. The live stream viewer count hit 90,000. And in that moment, everyone on that plane was about to learn the same lesson. Never judge a book by its cover. The screen on Ethan's phone was bright in the dimmed cabin light, and what it showed made the entire world stop. There was his photo, professional, clear, and beneath it, text that seemed to burn itself into everyone's eyes. Ethan Brooks, Chief Executive Officer, Delta Airlines. You could have heard a pin drop. Jessica's hand flew to her mouth. David's clipboard slipped from his fingers and clattered to the floor. Rachel went pale. Mike took a step backward like he'd been shoved. And Rebecca? Rebecca's face went through about 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, then recognition, then pure, absolute horror. The teenager's live stream exploded. 90,000 viewers became 100,000. The comments section became a blur. Yo, he's the CEO! They just messed up so bad! Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God! This is legendary! Officer Daniels straightened up immediately, his entire demeanor changing. Mr. Brooks, he said, his voice filled with respect and more than a little embarrassment. Sir, we're so sorry for the misunderstanding. Ethan looked at him, then at Officer Lee, then slowly around at every single person who had surrounded him, accused him, dismissed him, threatened him. His face wasn't angry. It was something else, something sadder. Disappointment, maybe, or just exhaustion at having to prove his humanity. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, quiet, but it carried through that cabin like thunder. You see, I didn't just buy this seat. I own every seat on this aircraft. I own every plane in this fleet. I own the uniforms you're wearing. I sign the paychecks that pay your salaries. He paused, letting that sink in. And not one of you thought to simply look at my boarding pass. Jessica started crying, actual tears running down her face, her hands shaking. David looked like he might be sick. Rachel and Mike couldn't meet his eyes. But Rebecca's face went through about 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, then recognition, then pure, absolute horror. The live stream hit 120,000 viewers. News alerts were already pinging on phones around the world. Delta CEO racially profiled on his own airline. Ethan pulled out his phone again and made a call, right there in front of everyone. The entire plane listened as he spoke. Linda, it's Ethan. I need legal on a conference call in 2 minutes, and I need you to take some notes. He put the phone on speaker, A woman's voice came through, professional but concerned. "Mr. Brooks, what's happened?" "I've just been racially profiled by our own crew. It was recorded, it's currently being live-streamed to over 100,000 people. And I'm going to handle this right now, right here, because this is exactly the kind of thing we said would never happen under my leadership." You could hear Linda typing furiously. "I'm ready, sir." Ethan looked at David first. "David Simmons, purser. Effective immediately, you are terminated. All benefits revoked, and I will personally ensure that you are blacklisted from working for any airline in this industry. You didn't just fail to do your job, you weaponized your position to humiliate someone based on the color of their skin." David's legs seemed to give out. He grabbed the seat back to steady himself. "Please," he whispered, "please, I have a family." "So do I," Ethan said quietly, "and I have to look my children in the eye and tell them their father was treated like a criminal on his own airline. Did you think about my family when you threatened to have me arrested?" He turned to Jessica. "Jessica Miller, 6 months unpaid suspension, and you will complete a comprehensive racial bias training program. You will not return to duty until you've completed it and passed an evaluation. One more incident like this, and you're done." Jessica nodded through her tears, unable to speak. "Rachel Cooper, 1 year probation. Any complaints during that period, any sign that you haven't learned from this, and you're finished." Rachel whispered, "Yes, sir, I understand." "Mike Reynolds, demotion, and 15% of your salary will be garnished for the next 2 years. That money will go to racial justice organizations. You stood there and said nothing while your colleague threatened an innocent passenger. Silence makes you complicit." Mike's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But Ethan wasn't being cruel. You could hear it in his voice. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. This was consequences. This was making sure that what happened to him never happened to anyone else. "Linda," he said into the phone, "I want the following implemented immediately across all Delta operations. Are you still typing?" "Yes, sir." 1. All flight crew must wear body cameras during any passenger dispute, no exceptions. 2. Delta will allocate $50 million annually to anti-discrimination training and workplace diversity programs. Real programs, not just seminars where people watch videos and check boxes. 3. We're hiring passenger rights advocates at every major airport. They report directly to my office. 4. Any complaint of racial bias goes straight to me, not to HR, not to middle management, to me. The passengers who could hear began to applaud, slowly at first, then louder. What had started as humiliation was turning into something else, something historic. 5, Ethan continued, we're launching an independent review of every discrimination complaint filed against Delta in the last 5 years, every single one, and we're going to make the findings public. Linda's voice came through the speaker, shaky with emotion. "Sir, that's going to be a lot." "I know. Do it anyway." The applause grew louder. But then Ethan turned to Rebecca, and the cabin went quiet again. He pulled up something on his phone, then turned the screen toward her. Rebecca Collins, Senior Marketing Director at PepsiCo, Chairwoman of the Diversity Council. Gasps rippled through the plane. Someone in the back shouted, "You've got to be kidding me!" The irony was so painful it almost felt like a joke. The woman who had screamed racial slurs, who had physically assaulted a black man, who had tried to have him thrown off a plane, led a diversity council. Rebecca's face went from pale to gray. She looked like she might faint. "You have 2 choices," Ethan said, his voice steady. "Option 1, you publicly apologize on camera right now. You complete 200 hours of community service with racial justice organizations, you attend 6 months of intensive bias training, and then you spend the next year speaking at corporate seminars about what you did, why you did it, and what you learned. You become a living lesson." Rebecca was shaking. And option 2? Option 2, I press federal hate crime charges. You pay $500,000 in civil penalties, you're permanently banned from every Delta flight, and I make sure every news outlet in America knows your name and what you did. Your company will know, your diversity council will know, the whole world will know. The livestream viewer count hit 150,000. Rebecca broke down completely. Her whole body shook with sobs. Her perfect makeup ran down her face in black streams. Between gasps, she choked out, I choose option 1. Please, I'm so sorry. Officer Daniels pulled out his own recording device. Miss Collins, I need you to state clearly, for the record, what happened here tonight. Rebecca's voice was barely audible through her crying. I verbally assaulted Mr. Brooks. I used racial slurs. I physically grabbed him. I tried to have him removed from his seat. I was wrong. I was so wrong. And why did you do it? Officer Lee asked. Rebecca sobbed harder. Because I saw a black man in first class and I assumed he didn't belong there. I didn't see a person. I only saw... She couldn't finish, but she didn't need to. Everyone knew. Ethan made another call. Marcus, it's Ethan. I need you to set up a press conference. Tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. A man's voice confused. Sir, it's 9 p.m., and are you sure you want to... Marcus, I'm standing on an aircraft where my own crew racially profiled me. It's been live-streamed to hundreds of thousands of people. We don't get ahead of this by hiding. We get ahead of it by owning it, facing it, and showing people we're going to fix it. There was a pause. The stock price might take a hit, sir. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. I'm the largest single shareholder, Marcus. I'll survive. Set it up. He hung up and looked directly at the camera that was still live-streaming everything. 170,000 people were watching now. Maybe more. To everyone watching this, he said, his voice clear and strong, this isn't just about me. This happens every single day. To people who don't have titles or power or platforms. To people who get told they don't belong, who get followed in stores, who get passed over for jobs, who get pulled over for driving, who get treated like criminals just for existing in their own skin. The applause started again, louder this time. If this can happen to a CEO, if I can be treated like this on my own airline, imagine what happens to everyone else. Imagine what happens to the people who don't have cameras recording, who don't have the power to fight back, who just have to take it day after day after day.